Well, hello. Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, the last day of Ignite, and it's, what, 9 a.m.? I think we're all barely waking up. So if it's okay, round of applause, everybody. Let's get some energy in the room. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. We got a small, kind of intimate audience here, which is awesome. And we literally just made the decision that we're probably going to do Q&A because of that, which is cool. So if it makes sense, if you guys have questions, we can try and make this a little bit more interactive than we normally would. But we'll see. We have a lot to cover, a lot of content, a lot of great content. Just for quick introduction, my name is Jon Kefaloukos. I go by Fallout in the gaming industry. Was a professional gamer when I was younger. I played for Optic Gaming, Team 𝗦𝗲𝗸 on the Major League Gaming Pro circuit. Stopped competing because my parents said get a job. And I got a job at Microsoft. I've been working at Microsoft for 10 years in a variety of roles across Xbox and in our field supporting customers on a daily basis. I also kept, I just love gaming. I love esports. So I stayed involved as a Twitch streamer and a shoutcaster. So I'm involved in the esports scene for Apex Legends, Fortnite, Halo, Gears of War. Those are some of the games that I kind of come from. My current role is I helped launch our field gaming vertical and strategy about 3 years ago. And it's been an awesome journey. We work on a daily basis with product engineering teams and customers trying to make Microsoft 365, Azure, Power Platform, you name it, better for game dev, gaming scenarios, media and entertainment scenarios. I want to give a disclaimer. I know it says media and entertainment on that screen. The demo we're going to show you today is focused on gaming, which is obviously in the realm of media and entertainment, but it's not going to be kind of traditional media distribution, entertainment, but we're working on kind of building out this demo to meet some of those scenarios as well. We have an amazing team that's going to be demoing and showing a lot of cool content today. Rebecca G comes from our SharePoint and OneDrive product team. Buzzell is one of the best architects I've worked with in my life. And a special thanks to Grant Earl and 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀, who worked really hard on this demo, but couldn't be here. So they're behind the scenes. All right, let's jump in. Most people are aware, if you attended my session yesterday on Azure for game development. Game development is very, very difficult. Same thing goes for media and entertainment scenarios, making movies, making content. Very, very hard. And then obviously COVID hit and everyone's distributed now. No one wants to return to the office. Many companies are kind of forcing a return to office, but a lot of game companies aren't. And that makes distributed game development even harder with people all around the world. Collaborating with people across the world, across many tools and technology is difficult. Our kind of core ethos, really what we try to bring to the table to support, is we're very lucky to have Xbox. And I think some of y'all may have seen the Xbox announcement or marketing video this week. This is your Xbox. And they're really working hard on making Xbox available to anyone around the world. But our Xbox organization has allowed us to battle test our services across the entire stack to be better for these tough scenarios, for the difficulty that is distributed game development. This right here, I want to set up our demo real quick, which is we're going to jump to here in a second. So Nexus Forge Studios is a fictitious studio that is both a gaming company, they make awesome games, and a media entertainment company, they make movies as well. Think EA meets, I don't know, I'm not going to use company brands. They do both of those things. And honestly, Nexus Forge Studios aside, this is a typical game company today. Many game companies' environments look like this because more employees came on board and liked a certain tool or technology, and they want to empower their game developers and their employees to do what they want and to be productive, so they give them the tools and tech that they need to get their job done, which I think 5 years ago was a really great strategy and made a lot of sense. But as you can imagine, that makes things really, really difficult in today's world where so many SaaS apps are opening up, so many AI applications are opening up and becoming available. So what we really have strived to achieve in our Microsoft 365 for Gaming and M&E initiative is simplification. A unified experience, which you guys know is the story of Microsoft 365 already. But one unified Microsoft 365 experience that looks like this. But we also recognize the bottom part, there's a ton of really, really critical applications that we can't replace and we won't try to replace. Satya made it clear 10 years ago. We recognize you have a heterogeneous environment. We need to operate within that. And we are a platform company. So our open platform, obviously with Teams, with Copilot and Copilot extensibility, works really, really well and it extends and integrates with Jira, Workday, GitHub and ADO, our solutions, obviously. The Adobe suite, we have a tremendous partnership with Adobe, Confluence, and many, many others. And that's not going to change in the game space. So we're going to show, I think, a little bit of that story today in our demo. We're going to show how we can offer all of this best in class. The greatness that is Zoom meetings, Google Drive workspace co-authoring, Slack collaboration and channels, and the coolness and the emojis that game devs really need, but all in kind of a unified, safe, and secure Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And we've been meeting with a couple of gaming customers this week. The coolest thing I've heard is CIO of a big game company saying, wow, Microsoft is cool again. I didn't realize Microsoft was cool again until seeing Copilot and some of these things. So best compliment I think we could get. With that said, yes, it does get, we can do logo soup too. On our side, this is everything that is in kind of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Many of these applications are included in your E3 or E5 license. Some of them are add-ons. But we really try to offer kind of the end-to-end experience. And people don't realize you can, instead of using Calendly to book meetings and scheduling, you could use bookings. Instead of using SurveyMonkey to get forums, you could use forms. To-do planner for lightweight project management. I will say Loop, you guys are probably familiar with Loop, just launched last year, a couple of years ago, has become the hottest application in the games development space and media entertainment space. It just works, and it offers, and it solves a problem for something new, which is great. But again, same story. All of this is one Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And it's going to be a unified experience. That's what we're striving towards. Last two slides, and we'll get to demo. I'd be remiss to not talk about security. So this is a core problem that game teams face, and every company faces, but game teams in particular. It's so hard to make a game that you can't sacrifice productivity, employee happiness, and it's so competitive. You need to have the best tech for the best companies to compete, but then you sacrifice security. And there's kind of this paradox, this yin and yang, security or productivity, what do you want to enable? Because we built, and maybe we for a while there we weren't cool because we prioritized security, compliance, some of the uncool or unsexy things early, we really strive to achieve secure productivity. In fact, fun fact, not many people know this, M365 used to be called Secure Productive Enterprise, E3 and E5, which was not a good marketing name, but we changed that. So it's about Intune, Entra ID, all of these tools and underpinnings that make the M365 experience secure from the ground up with Purview for data protection. And again, you're going to see that in the demo today. Last slide, and then we'll get to demo. Just landing the message. You guys have seen this all week, so again, I don't have to land this too hard, but you're also going to see Copilot. And this is a cool slide that shows how, and it's actually impressive, how fast we shipped Copilots for every single Microsoft product that exists within our wingspan. And we have the largest wingspan of technology of any technology provider in the world. So it's really impressive what our product and engineering team has delivered. But with that said, and without further ado, let's get to demo. Again, I'm John. I'm going to pass it over to Corey here, and Corey's going to jump in to Nexus Forge Studios and kind of setting the scene a little bit. Corey?
Thanks, John.
Awesome.
Corey Buzzell, as John said, I'm with the Microsoft Innovation Hubs. We used to call them Technology Centers, MTCs. Luckily, with the new rebranding, we're not going with meh. So with my first lame joke out of the way, let's talk about the scenarios we prepped. So we have way more demo than we're going to be able to show today, but these are the three scenarios that we put together and started talking with other organizations about. So we've got the pre-production, production, and the launch. So we're going to primarily focus on the first one today around pre-production. So I'll zoom in here a little bit. We're going to start with, we're working on a game design document. So we'll have a couple people co-authoring. We'll do a little magic and kind of mark it as a certain project so that it gets a sensitivity label of more confidentiality and encryption. And then we'll go into, let's have a meeting around that. And then let's do a little whiteboarding so that we can do a little more than just document collaboration. And then we'll introduce Loop and start to talk about where the components can start to show up in multiple places and always come back to the same co-authored endpoint. And then we'll bring Rebecca up and talk about this video portal, internal video portal that we spun up so that you can share, edit, like, comment, and work on videos. And then if we have time, we'll get in more in the integration space where we can update GitHub and have it communicate or send a notification into Teams. We can search and use Copilot across Confluence and Jira, and then we're definitely going to run out of time. But if we don't, we'll get into a little reporting and some automation. So with that, let's go through the pre-production collaboration scenario. So I've got a lot of devices up here. I'm playing lots of different roles. This is a real tenant. It's nothing special. Anybody can spin one up. If you got one at work, it's the same tenant with Copilot on and everything on there. So with that said, things can go wrong. These aren't pre-baked videos, so let's hope me crossing all my fingers and toes works. So we're in Microsoft Teams. 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗸𝗏 is the name of our premier game title for this fictitious studio. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go into Files, and I'm gonna create a new Word document. So we're gonna work on the 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗏 game design document. We'll create it. I already have one. Come up with something better, Corey. So we'll call it game design doc. All right, demo fail 1 out of the way. So we're still in Teams. This is basically the web version. We're gonna have Copilot craft our game design document. So create a game design document, watching me type, for 𝗦𝗽𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏. All right, so we'll let that spin up. Looking good. Let it finish. Save me a little time here. And while this is going, I'm gonna pull up Copilot on the side. So I'm gonna keep that. Now, we happen to have a template for Nexus Forge Studios on what we think game design documents should look like. So I believe in the future, I'll be able to skip this step and just say, create it based on the template. But I'm gonna do this kind of secondary scenario here where I want to ask, does this document contain everything outlined in the Nexus Forge Studios game design document template in, I'm gonna be a little explicit here. So I have this stuff, I have a page in Confluence. We got a lot of pages in Confluence and in Jira, as I mentioned before. So I've got graph connectors hooked up to M365 Copilot to Microsoft Search. So included in this reference, I do have my Nexus Forge Studios game design documentation template. So this is a real Confluence page that was referenced, indexed by Copilot. So if I go back up here, it will tell me, based on that template, here's what I need to change. So I can copy paste or have it change for me. So I don't have to have everything within a Word document in SharePoint and OneDrive. If it's somewhere else, great, let's use it. And then this is a scenario I'm seeing at pretty much all of my customers. Doesn't have to be game design documents, but if it's a security policy, a contract, review the quality and the risk of this whatever document that I'm working on. RFPs, if I've done 10 RFPs or 50 RFPs in the last year, go to the repository of RFPs and tell me, answer these questions or review what I've got and make sure that I got all the stuff that we said we needed. Cool? All right, no oohs and ahs yet, so that's cool. So let's start to bring in a friend of mine to help me with this. So I'm gonna go into our design channel for Eclipse Nexus, and we're gonna ask Lisa if she can help. I'm gonna reference that document. So the document is gonna stay in Teams, which is SharePoint, under the covers. So here's the one I was recently working on. So we'll go ahead and post, and so I'm a separate person on another screen off to the side that you can't see, but we're gonna work on that. And I know that co-authoring is so 2000, but we still gotta show it because sometimes, as John said, people don't think Microsoft is cool or that we got some of the things. So we'll see Lisa typing real time. So this is working on the same document at the same time. Doesn't matter if we're in the web, if we're in a desktop app or in Teams, you're seeing Lisa working on this. All right, so the other thing that I'm gonna add here while we're going is I'm gonna say this is part of Project Icarus. So I've got a policy, we've got code names of projects that are, super secret, confidential. And so what you noticed in real time here was I have a policy that looks for, in this case, a really simple keyword, but it can look for regular expressions, keywords, matching, proximity. I can hook it up to, you got a database of employee numbers or project numbers. We can do exact data match. If you've got really complex documents, we can train a model. They're called trainable classifiers. So I can say, here's 50 documents. This is what a contract looks like. When you see a contract, do this. So I've got a policy set up that said, when you see Project Icarus, I want you to do a few things. One is It has labeled it with a sensitivity label called Project Icarus. It has done dynamic watermarking here. I don't know if, hopefully it's good enough to see. So this cannot be removed from the document. So it always have my name on it or whoever's name on it when they're viewing. So I get that watermark in the back, and then I do have a header here calling it out as classified as highly confidential. Even more than that, this also added encryption wrapper around the document. So I can share this with anyone, and anyone in the team has access to it. But because I've wrapped it encryption, when I set up that encryption policy, I said only these certain people, this group of people has access to it. So I could share this with Corey at Gmail, and I'll get the link, and I'll be able to go into it, and I'll MFA, and I'll do all that. But I authenticate at the time of opening it, and when it sees that I'm not a member of that encryption group, it won't let me see it. So it doesn't matter if I take it to grandma's house, open it up offline, I'm not gonna be able to get to it. So this is for your really sensitive stuff that you wanna protect the crown jewels. All right, so that's the document that we're working on. We've locked it up. I feel better about that. So really simple example, but we can take it all the way to as complex or complete as you need for your IP. All right, so now we're going to, that's great, we're working on a document, but let's do a meeting. So we've got this check-in scheduled for today, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. You left just in time when you could have been over here. You're good, you're good. All right, so we're gonna join this meeting. So got it, check in, Lisa's gonna join it as well. Waiting for her to join, hurry up Lisa, holding us up. All right, so we're gonna see our first kind of loop component here on the right. So I went into the Teams meeting beforehand, I added the agenda, and so we said, Lisa's gonna review the game design document, Corey's gonna lead a whiteboarding session. So all of this, even though it doesn't say it, this is a loop component. There's a loop page under the covers, and if I go in and add a task for follow-up on the GDD, and I assign it to Corey, we'll see where that shows up. And so you see Lisa over here typing, adding people's names. So all of this is gonna start to communicate and notify people and bring them in either to the meeting or to this loop page that we'll see in a little bit. All right, so part of this meeting is we wanna do a little whiteboarding. If you couldn't tell, as an architect, I like to whiteboard. So we're gonna whiteboard. This is a game design document, kind of brainstorming session. So why don't we go into brainstorming and let's use a affinity diagram. So we're gonna bring this into Microsoft Whiteboard within the Teams meeting. Lisa can add sticky notes all she wants. We can go ahead, if you've got a pen or ink device, we can draw in here as well and talk about, we've got some to-do items and I like smiley faces. All right, bad penmanship, you get the idea. So the other thing that I wanna add while we're going in here is I wanna add a loop component, our second loop component. So let's say we're gonna do a voting table, and we're gonna zoom in and stretch this out. All right, so I've got a voting table. We're gonna call this the Eclipse Nexus Season 5 length. How long should it be? So anybody that's a part of this meeting has access to this whiteboard. They can come in and they can vote on it. So we'll say 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, all right? And Lisa and others can start to, boy, it's tough working with 1080 on a little screen. All right, so what you see is Lisa working kind of co-authoring, just like we did on the document, but it's on the smaller component that can live anywhere. So she's typing real time on the pros, I'm typing on the cons. So while she's doing that, I'm going to copy this component And now I can kind of move this almost anywhere that I want. So if I got people that weren't in the meeting that I want to include in the vote, I can go to a chat. And if I paste it in here with Control V, that's the exact voting table that we were just working on, and you still see Lisa typing in it. So it will always stay live there and update back to wherever I got it. I can do it in the Teams channel that we were in. So if I wanted to reply here, paste, it'll show up there. If you're a person that likes email, we can send an email, paste it in there, and then when you get the email, you don't even have to reply. You can just edit here within the component, and we'll always stay up to date. So think about, you got a 30-page game design document, and you really need to work, collaborate with a handful of people on a paragraph or a page. If I don't want to, I don't have to invite them into the whole document. If I want, I can just bring in this chunk and have people work on it in the place that they like to work on it, in chat, in the channels, or in email. And then to pull it all together, I'm sure you've all probably seen, so there is an app for Loop where I can bring it into a workspace. So if I want to organize everything together, I can bring it in and paste it in here, add it to my other pages that I'm curating for this content.
Yeah,
All right.
Thanks,
Tori
showed co-authoring earlier. You'd be so surprised how many times we hear from game devs that they have no idea that Word, you can co-author in Word, which we've had for 10 to 12 years, which is funny. But essentially, this is why Loop has taken off, because Loop takes the concept of a Google Doc, which people love, real-time co-authoring, everyone just jumps in, starts brainstorming and collaborating, and allows you to take that live collaboration anywhere you are in the entire ecosystem. So quick, real-time collaboration. It's wicked fast. It runs on Fluid Framework. The Loop team has done an amazing job. If you do side-by-side comparisons, how quick it is, it just works. And then Loop also allows you to do Kanban boards, templates, things like that. So a lot of game teams are now starting to do like their agile sprint development in Loop because of how you can integrate to Jira. Well, this might not be public, but there's other integrations coming soon. Jira is public already, but Loop is going to continue to expand and extend with integrations into like the dev tools and the things that you use today, which is pretty awesome.
Cool. All right, so the next part of our video, we're going to bring Rebecca up because we're going to talk about the video portal. So I'm going to leave this meeting, and we're going to pop over to a SharePoint site that we put together to act as our video portal.
Thank you, Corey. Hi, I'm Rebecca G. I'm a product manager in the OneDrive and SharePoint team. So in the next couple minutes, I will be demonstrating how you can use SharePoint as a private video hosting platform. So let's start by defining the use case scenario. Imagine that you run a gaming studio and has a large team, and then you want to have your team is working on multiple projects and releases, super busy. And your goal is to make sure that your employees are stay informed within the organization, such as game release highlights, franchise messages, projects they've been involved in, and also other initiatives they should be aware of. So to accomplish that, you want to have like a centralized view, and then your employees can easily access the latest and greatest, primarily in the video format, and then to help them stay informed. So this is the page that we put together. So again, Media Nexus is a fictional video gaming studio we created for this demo. And then this is the homepage of the centralized hub, where we highlighted two primary approaches of distributing the content. Approach number one is to directly upload content or videos to this homepage. So for example, the announced trailer and the gameplay trailer here, we just directly uploaded it. And then the benefit of doing that is you can pin those videos as the breaking news headline. So whoever gets to this page can never miss it. And then this also works really well for town halls and executive updates. And then you can also pair it up between a video and text for greater context. So approach number two is a more common approach, which you can actually upload videos to other sites, consider them as channels. And then, for example, the videos under the art team and the cinematics, those videos were uploaded to their respective sites and then being pulled to this homepage. So consider this homepage as a central page, and then all of those sites are contributing content to the central page. So therefore, we create a centralized hub view for this video distribution. And then I would like to highlight a couple benefits of using SharePoint for this. Number one, as site owners, you have full control. Who gets access and what content gets to be here. So for example, this is considered as a semi-broadcasting experience. By configuring the site access appropriately, I imagine that most of your employees will be the viewers. They have almost like no access apart from viewing the content. While a handful of your team members will be managing the content, so they have the full access. So that's number one. Number two, you get full customization, and then we can tailor this SharePoint page to whichever you need. For example, you can move, rearrange and move those web parts to wherever you want. And also, you can also change the web parts for the content sources from text, images, to videos, and even YouTube videos, whichever you like. For the purpose of this demo, I selected videos, but there are many options out there. And number three, which is, I'm just going to republish. Number three is there is a full interactive viewer experience. If you are a viewer, once this page is set up, you can first of all come over and just watch the video here on the spot. This is a fake video we created. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can open up the web app, and then you will be able to watch the video here. Also use Copilot to summarize the video for you, and get the transcript to whichever the time code is and then what we talked about in the video. Leave some comments. The comments could be time code as well, so it will directly take you to the time. Or you can mention people and just be like, hey, this person, please take a look, or I need your approval, or I need your review. And also, it will give you the analytics of how many people watched it, stuff like that. And then also, you will be able to share this video using a link or using an embed code. And then also, we do support external sharing. If you want to share to your Gmail account, you can do that, but that has to go through MFA. All right, the last thing that I want to highlight here is you will be able to record a video very easily because SharePoint is integrated with Clipchamp. And then by doing that, a lot of people that we talk to, they just use record, and then you can record a screen. I'm not going to go through all the thing here, but you will be able to record your screen, whichever tool you're working on, put a video. Once you're done, you don't have to download or upload. That takes forever. We understand that. You can just directly export the video into SharePoint, and then it's on the site that you wanted it to be. All right. That's most of my demo, and this is how you can use SharePoint as a private video hosting platform. It's almost like an internal branded site to help your employees stay informed. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Rebecca. Just to kind of bring this home and relate it truly to kind of game dev, real scenarios we hear often from customers. A single portal, a single hub where you can store all your assets, video assets, images, creative or concept art per team, and that hub can then be the place that everyone goes to interact, to review assets, to comment on assets. And oh, by the way, Clipchamp is natively integrated, so you don't have to use OBS or another kind of recording mechanism. It's all kind of native, built into Windows or running on a side app. So that's a common scenario we hear often, and an exciting one for teams to be able to collaborate. And you can imagine with enterprise search, a year, 2 years, 3 years later, you're trying to find an old asset from an old game or an old, name it, movie, whatever the content is. You can find that using rich enterprise search capabilities and kind of the deep SharePoint embedded experience.
Yeah, so I wanted to add on to what Rebecca was saying because I kind of missed it in talking about the documents and stuff. So, it came up this week in our conversations with organizations. It was around kind of that external sharing and being able to bring in, I'm sure you all have way more partners or contractors or people outside of your organization that you need to bring in and work with. So I know that we won't call any of you out, but we know that a lot of organizations will create secondary, tertiary identities for folks, have to pay for and license them, So basically make them a user of the organization and then bring them in so that they can use your stuff. But with M365 and the B2B guest capabilities, that's all part of your license. So I can come in here, I can share this video, I can share the site, I could invite somebody to do a team, or I can share the document with anybody. I could share this with my Gmail account. If you're okay with that, if you've opened that up, you can lock it down as well. And give them the ability to edit, or maybe I just want them to view. I can set an expiration, maybe give them a week, and then it goes away. So once I do this and send it to my Gmail account, they get a link. It goes through all the proper auth-z and auth-in protocols. So they'll have to do, if they're an M365 organization, they just use their creds and they're logged in, they're good. If you've got MFA required, they'll get prompted for MFA. In this case, it's a Gmail. I get a one-time passcode. I got to prove I'm at the email address I did. I can still require MFA for that, and they're in. I'm not creating a secondary identity for them. They're using their Gmail account or their 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 long, when they get it, when it expires, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's a really critical component because, again, distributed game development, most game studios, media studios aren't doing it all in-house. They have vendors or contractors to help get the game finalized, and they're all around the world. They're using different tenants. Some of them are Microsoft 365 shops, some of them are not, and this is the most important IP, so Purview, all the built-in information protection, DLP capabilities are absolutely critical because if this leaks, that could ruin your launch and your title of your next game.
All right, we got 13 minutes. We went through, good or bad, we went through scenario 1. So we got 2 things we can do. We can take questions, or we can start to go through scenario 2 and see some more stuff. What do y'all think? I can't.
Demo or questions, Q&A? You don't want to see more demo?
Nobody wants to talk. Demo. All right, we like demo. Okay, so this one's going to be a little
I like
more.
how this guy made the decisions.
For
everybody. There's one guy in the front. That's
Hey,
good.
whoever speaks up first, you get to pick the radio station.
Seriously, feel free. The mic's right here in the middle. Feel free to jump in and ask questions in the middle of the demo. Like that's a viable path.
Okay, so with scenario 2, we're in the middle of production. We just wanted to show some different integration notification scenarios. So I'm going to go into GitHub. I'm going to do a really simple update. I know you would never notify on this, but it's just illustrative, and then we'll try to find stuff in Confluence and Jira. And everybody got stuff in Confluence and Jira? Make a quick raise of hands. Jira, Confluence.
Jira, Confluence
all right,
users?
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right,
quite a few.
appreciate it.
Cool.
Okay, so let's go to GitHub. As I said, so I've got a repo here. I've got notifications set up, so think about a deployment failed, a build failed, a build succeeded, or whatever step in the process that you want to notify on. I got them all. I'm going to do it. I've got a notification that I'm going to trigger on a commit. I know you would never do that, but I'm just going to be, we're just going to do simple today. But it works the same with all the other types of notifications. So you see, I've got my cards here of notifications set up. So I set this up to get a post in my development channel in the Eclipse Nexus team. So here it is, update with the simple at the end, and then there's a built-in card here, a message extension, that if I wanted to, I could post a comment on that commit, and it would go straight back to GitHub. It doesn't live here, and then I got to copy paste. This will update it in GitHub if that's the way I want it, so I don't have to go back and forth if I don't want. So this can be the way the team can be notified on this, and then we can do a little chat ops where we respond and reply and bring people in. Alternatively, I have my own personal app of GitHub here, so I can get notified on various projects if I wanted to. But I've kind of split it up on our various game titles, so they only get the repo notifications that they care about.
Now, obvious disclaimer, we know in the game space and media entertainment space, Perforce is the main source control management solution used. Obviously, GitHub is used for online services or a variety of other services that don't require large assets and large files. But for that reason, Perforce is typically used. We have actually a pretty solid integration story with Perforce as well, but this is a living, breathing demo. And then Azure DevOps, ton of great integrations as well.
Just to show you, when you do stuff in your repos, pretty much wherever, you can get the notifications back into Teams if that's where you like to chat about stuff.
Yeah. One other thing that some game teams are also doing is using Azure AI Foundry to do code checks, code assist, and notifications if there's bad code or any issues in code to notify you directly in Teams as well. So yeah, this is a very common kind of scenario.
So while we're here in this development channel for the Eclipse Nexus game title, I just posted in, maybe we've got our long-running, our long-standing Confluence page here for Eclipse Nexus. This is where we'll have a tree of all the information related to this. Maybe I wanted to make an easy dashboard here of all the Jira issues I've got related to the projects around Season 5 for Eclipse Nexus. So this is pulling straight from Jira Cloud. I can update things right here. I don't have to go over those. I add somebody to the team next week, I don't have to send them the 17, Chrome tabs or links that everybody's got ready to go. They become a member of the team, and then they get access to all this stuff that we kind of curate for folks. All right, so that's kind of the pull, the read. I know where to go. I can find it. Let's talk about a different scenario where maybe I don't know where it is and I want to do a search. So I'm going to go back to, this is Nexus. This is our branding of the Viva Connections app. So think of it as my SharePoint, intranet, and Teams. And when I search at the top here, it searches all of M365. It searches those graph connectors I mentioned in Jira Confluence. So I knew I had an issue around multiplayer networking out there. I did one search at the top. It did a federated search, brought back a Jira issue, specifically around multiplayer networking. I also had it mentioned in a SharePoint document. So all in the same federated search. It'll do fuzzy matching, all that kind of stuff. So that's cool, but we haven't used the word Copilot enough today. So let's go over to Copilot. And Copilot uses the same graph connectors as I'm sure many of you are aware. So we'll pre-bake a little casserole here. What is the status of the multiplayer networking Jira issue? So instead of just, here's the link, click on it, good luck, I did natural language, and I get kind of natural language coming back. The status is to do, it's unassigned and marked with medium. Let me know if you need anything else. The nice thing about this is it knows that it's Jira, so it's going to use Jira's message extension here from the app that we installed. So if I wanted to make a comment on this issue, I can do it right from here without having to crash out and open up Jira in a web browser. Do we lose my screen? No, bounce back now. Okay. So there's Jira, and then as I mentioned before, we had the documentation guidelines, the template inside of Confluence. So I asked a similar question, what are the guidelines? And it came back, instead of just a link like it would in search, it comes back with the 5 guidelines. And then if I did want a link, I can link out to the page to read more. Questions? Concerns?
Feedback.
Quips, feedback.
Awkward silence. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so you see, go back to Teams real quick, Corey. Yep. And if you guys do have questions, please, microphone right in the middle. Feel free to come up and ask so the stream online can hear y'all. But yeah, I want to also kind of set the stage too, because it's interesting. A lot of game companies, small shops have just never lived in Microsoft land. So again, they didn't know Microsoft was cool, that whole thing. Breaking it down to the basics, the people here in the room, you guys are at Ignite, you know all of this, but this is for the folks at home. On that far left right there is your side rail where you basically have everything you need to get your job done from a productivity collaboration perspective. Your chats, your group DMs, yes, with full custom emoji capabilities, which is a critical thing for the game teams, are all there. All your teams or your channels for channel collaboration, all there. Your calendar, your meetings, integrated, one click to join. You're not constantly getting pulled from a Slack DM or a Slack message to have to go to open a million tabs or open Zoom to join a meeting or open a Google Doc to start collaborating. It's all done within Teams as kind of a central hub for teamwork. And it's pretty impressive what the Teams group has done to unify that experience. But it's not just you have to be a Microsoft in Microsoft land. I think you've seen today how you can have apps run in real time in Teams on that top rail within any group chat, any channel. You can immediately collaborate in real time. So I wanted to at least speak to that a little bit because I think a lot of game teams aren't aware.
All right.
Want to show this? Are you showing this? Saw you switch over.
We can. This is just a little note. So we had that meeting earlier with Lisa and Corey. We didn't record it, but let's say we did record it or transcribed it, and then if somebody missed the meeting, they were on vacation or quintuple booked, there's a nice little app here called Meet, where you can see all the meetings you were invited to, whether you made it or not. So if I missed it, I can filter that down, the ones that were recorded. The nice thing I like about this one is it shows me the ones that had notes. If somebody presented or shared a document around there, the whiteboard we used, and then of course everybody's probably seen the recap. So if I wanted to do that, interrogate the transcript and say recap the meeting, tell me what action items I missed. This is a little known app that's free. Microsoft built it, and it's out in the Teams App Store. Anybody can go grab it. So it's a nice way to find the meeting. If you don't remember what it was or was a little while ago, to go in and then interrogate the transcript and ask for a meeting recap.
Yeah, and you can't see it here because this is our team set up a fake demo and a fake tenant, so it was one person in the meeting at the bottom left there, but also show who was speaking and at what time. You can ask Copilot things, was my name mentioned? What are some action items or follow-ups for me? This recap capability is pretty awesome. And the idea of a meeting in Teams, a little bit different than Zoom. It's meant to be a before, during, and after experience. So before the meeting, rather than people showing up and not being prepped, which drives game designers crazy, you prep an agenda, you prep a whiteboard. During the meeting, you collaborate on that, and then you continue to collaborate on that after the fact. And for those that missed it, they can easily get caught up with this Copilot recap capability, which is awesome. People love this. I said, first question.
We got a question.
See how excited we are to have some questions? Hi.
Dan Frederick, and I want to win the Copilot drinking game, so I have a Copilot question.
Ding.
So you showed a cool scenario using loop components, and my understanding is those play an important role in Copilot pages. Yep. Can you speak to, well, maybe the connection between loop components and pages, but then are there scenarios where you're using pages for, with the customers you're working with?
So you're absolutely right. So when I ask questions in Copilot, I don't have it in this tenant right now, or I do. You'll see the work on it in pages. So when that opens up, that's a loop page. So it's in the space with all the other stuff we talked about. So you want to paste in that voting table, add it to the workspace that's used by that loop that I created with Copilot. It's all part of the same ecosystem.
Yeah, and to answer your question, have we seen customers use it yet? To be honest, it's such a kind of fresh off the press announcement. We announced it in September. I haven't seen many people that are even aware about it, let alone have started adopting it yet, but I do think, yeah, Pages is critical to our strategy moving forward, and it essentially is the loop backend, and allows you to take any Copilot kind of content and who else is working and interacting with that Copilot content and turn it into a collaborative multiplayer experience, which, as you can imagine, is awesome for game devs. I think it's gonna be pretty popular. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good question. Thank you. All right, any other questions for those that are curious about anything they saw today? Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, of course, Rebecca and Corey. Round of applause for them, by the way. A lot of work that went into setting up this demo. As I mentioned, this is the beginning. This is a work in progress. This kind of Microsoft 365 for gaming and M&E demo experience was ideated 3 weeks ago, and they did a lot of work to prep this with a ton of content, which, by the way, all the content was used using Copilot, which is kind of crazy. That would have taken 3 months to do for this week. But we want this to be an evergreen, living, breathing thing. We want to start adding more scenarios like Perforce integration, Azure DevOps integration, deeper, true game design scenarios, and then, of course, media entertainment as well. So if you ever have any questions, if we could help in any way, I help lead our entire gaming vertical here and our go-to-market. And Corey is out of our Minneapolis Microsoft Innovation Hub. So if you're a game studio or a game team with an account team and want to engage, he's really good at kind of day-long engagements. And Rebecca is helping to really spearhead gaming, media, entertainment scenarios within the OneDrive and SharePoint team directly. Any final words y'all would share?
Thank you so much for coming here. And also, I'm driving the video strategy for M365. So if you have any questions for the product side, feel free to contact me, and you know where to find.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time. Have a great Ignite. Thanks, y'all.